Petraeus has been quoted as saying. He was talking to NPR, and he said the following. Listen to these words, because they could have been very controversial about 2 years ago, if not even sooner. Let's see if we can put those up. This is David Petraeus on an NPR report. He says, "I do think you have to talk to enemies." And then he goes on to say, "You don't kill or capture your way out of an industrial strength insurgency. If there are opportunities to identify and then isolate the irreconcilables in certain of these areas, and then reach out to the reconcilables," key word, reconcilables, of course, that's a preferred course of action. Let me bring in Wesley Clark. He's a retired four-star general. He's a former NATO commander, and he is just the perfect guest to be talking to about something like this. Do you agree with what General Petraeus is now saying, which sounds so different from what they were saying a couple of years ago about this?
Absolutely. It's what I've been saying from the very beginning, is you must have politics inside Iraq, you must have diplomacy in the region, and you cannot win it by simply killing people.
Well, then what happened to the anathema of this argument, is suggesting that you're a coward and you're not a patriot if you go and you talk to your enemies?
Well, I don't know where that argument really came from. It was thrown out. It was political coinage. It was used in partisan politics. But I think the military leadership has always been clear, and Dave Petraeus is certainly foremost among them now. But there have been many others who've said, look, you have to try to work this thing on different levels. You can't just win it by military force alone.
Look, real simple, clear question to you. As a commander, as a general, as a guy who's been there, is Afghanistan even winnable?
I think we've got to be careful how we set our objectives in Afghanistan. Is it possible to have an end to the killing and violence? Yes. Is it possible to have a Western-style democracy with full human rights and Thomas Jefferson-style principles there? Probably not right away.
Okay.
So we've got to be careful how we define success there.
What is it? What is reasonable for a success in that country, where we leave and say, look what a good thing we leave behind, as opposed to a mess?
I think that you've got to look at ways to see the bigger picture. The bigger picture is tensions between India and Pakistan over Kashmir, then issues in Pakistan, and then the spillover across the border, and then the results of 30 years of ceaseless conflict in Afghanistan. So we've got to provide economic hope in the region. We've got to provide a modicum of security. We can't impose our standards on peoples there that have their own ideas. We've got to respect them. Well, probably decentralize a little bit in Afghanistan. Don't know. Going to have to work this
Well,
through.
You're right. You got to look at this regionally. So let's talk region. Let's talk Pakistan. Barack Obama is saying that we may need to fire into Pakistan specifically to go after members of Al-Qaeda. I know that you can put on your political hat for us. You ran for the presidency as a Democrat, opposed Barack Obama. Is he wrong?
No, I didn't oppose Barack Obama. I ran against John Kerry and in 2003, and I campaigned for Barack Obama in this last election.
Thanks for the correction.
I think he's exactly right. There may be times to do that. I think the more we can help Pakistan to do this work themselves, the better off we are. The more we can be in a supporting role instead of a leading role, the more we can let Pakistanis, legitimate governmental institutions, take the responsibility for the inevitable mistakes that occur when force is applied, the better off we are. But I don't think you can say you'll never ever, if you get actionable intelligence on key figures, that you'd never do it.
So you could kind of have it both ways. You want to talk, as Petraeus said, to the reconcilables. In other words, try and get on the good side of those, but at the same time, if you see one of the irreconcilables doing something, you fire at them, even if they're in Pakistan.
Yes, all things considered. Who else is there? What's the collateral damage? What's the likelihood of hitting them? What's their real value in the organization? What's the impact of firing on them? How are you going to fire on them? I think it's a dangerous thing for stability in the region to be too heavily, overtly involved there. But on the other hand, Pakistan needs support and assistance, and its government and military are in a very tough fight.
We're out of time, but I need a one-word answer for you. If Barack Obama asked you to be a part of his administration, will you accept?
I would do anything I could to help the administration, but I'm not asking for a position there. I just like to help.
General Wesley Clark, thanks so much, sir. Appreciate your time and your insight on this subject.
Thank you very much.
A huge meeting.